Hello and welcome to News Central Now. I'm Dashen, Usman. The top stories at this hour. Arrested NSAS memorial protesters freed after alleged police brutality. Federal government set to transfer national grid management to an independent system operator. Occupants of Kenya's 7-story house trapped in building collapse as rescued mission continues. Details shortly. We begin by telling you that today marks the 4th anniversary of the tragic events at the Lekki Toll Gate, where peaceful protesters were met with violence during the NSAS movement in 2020. The memory of that night continues to resonate deeply within Nigeria and beyond. News Central's Bettina Nwelih reports.
4 years ago, thousands of Nigerians gathered at the Lekki Toll Gate in Lagos to demand justice against police brutality in the country. 4 years after, with an attempt at a solemn remembrance, banners and placards were seized and protesters apprehended and whisked away in a Black Maria.
The case on justice. Police,
group of protesters
we are fighting for you. You are going to arrest you. Who are you going to come?
For the NSAS, Lekki Toll Gate massacre, apprehended by a group of policemen under the leadership of the Commissioner of Police in Lagos. I'm right now speaking to you.
Look at me.
From a Black Maria.
I am beaten and my phones are seizing.
Brutalized. My glasses.
I will have been robbed. Our phones have been taken by the police.
It was struck away from the hand by a police officer without any provocation. We're asking here today, when the right to commemorate the dead has become illegal and criminalized in this country.
Concerned citizens, over 20 in number, united to honor the memories of the deceased, but instead were faced with heavy resistance from the police. The Commissioner of Police, though present, did not address the press and instructed that his team shouldn't address the press either.
I just got arrested now by the area commander of Island. So I'm going to meet the likes minds of people inside the Black Maria. Solidarity forever. My struggle, freedom come.
Today's event serves as a poignant reminder of the ongoing struggle for justice, freedom, and above all, the enduring spirit of the NSAS movement in Nigeria. In Lagos, for News Central, I'm Bettina.
Meanwhile, 22 protesters arrested by the police during the NSAS memorial at the Lekki Toll Gate in Lagos have been released. The protesters had gathered on Sunday morning to mark the 4th anniversary of the #NSAS protest, which demanded an end to police brutality in Nigeria. Hassan Taiwo Soweto, the National Spokesman for the Youth Rights Campaign, WRC, confirmed the release of the protesters to journalists, revealing that the Lagos State Commissioner of Police personally visited Kwanti Police Station to facilitate their release. However, Soweto criticized the CP's actions, alleging that the arrest and assault happened in his presence. According to Soweto, many of the protesters suffered injuries, with one experiencing severe bleeding from the nose. Joining us on the news is God Bless Otubore, National Security, Defense Intelligence and Statecraft expert, Washington, D.C., and also Global President, ready to lead Africa. God bless. Thank you for joining us on the news.
Thank you for having me again.
First of all, how do you assess the Nigerian government's response to the NSAS anniversary protests? Do you believe that the police intervention was justified?
I mean, absolutely, it's not justified at all. In a democracy, in a free society, it is absolutely not justified. The question is, like I've always said, there's a broken trust between those who are being governed and those who are governing. So every action that is taken by the governed, those who are governing, suspect that it is designed to foment trouble or create chaos. So it is usually met with this whole gospel, high-handed strategy where, the constitutionally protected right of free assembly and the ability to protest when you do not like what government is doing, it's clearly not available in the country. And it's just a shame that that is where we are at the moment. So what the police did is wrong, because why are you arresting people and putting them in a vehicle that is used to transport prisoners? I don't think that was right.
So what measures do you think, could have been taken to prevent the arrests and also ensure a peaceful protest, considering the sensitive nature of the anniversary?
I mean, again, it goes back to a lot of the things that we do as a people. And in fact that things happen and then we do not address them and just hope that time would heal them. It doesn't work. When you look at the history of mankind, when errors have been carried out by people, what sane societies do is that you acknowledge it, which I think a lot of the subnationals have done so. I think there's been an acknowledgement by the Lagos state leadership to say, okay, something happened, and then there's been, sort of restitution in that regard. But the federal government has to sort of say, you know what, something happened on October 20th, 4 years ago, and we will commemorate it by saying that there is a commitment. And this is the funny thing. The funny thing is that the police needs to constantly show to the public some of the progress that have been made. But we still see that a lot of police officers are not changing. There's this viral social media post recently, of which, I cannot independently verify it. That said, the police chased a man who fell into a ditch and his monies were collected. And we see policemen still collecting bribes on the road. We see, raids and we just a lot of things still happening that Nigerians were hoping that the NSAS protest would have put a lot of stop to. So what the police could have done is, leading up to 20th of October, is to have series of town halls, series of engagement with activists, and say, you know what, the police working with the civilian community would honor the memory of those who were shot or those who were killed or whatever happened on that day. And it could be a collaboration between the police and the protesters. The police will be there, the protesters will have their time, they could arrange, agree at a time and say, you know what, okay, for the sake of the memorial itself, you can have a portion of the, one side of the toll gate, but you're not going to obstruct traffic. We're going to be there with you. That is what you call police and civilian relationship. That is where policing needs to get to. So if you ask me what could have been done, that is what could have been done. And we wouldn't have all of this, freedom come by struggle. We have to get past that.
Well, God bless. You seem to have answered my next question, and it seems the police keep proving, the NSAS protesters right in their demand for police reforms, with these repeated actions. But, just before we let you go, what role are organizations like Ready to Lead Africa playing in promoting, peaceful conflict resolution and also advocating for citizens' rights in Nigeria, particularly in the wake of events like NSAS anniversary protests?
So one of the most important things I think we must get to the basics is that who is the human being? Who is the citizen? The idea of who the human being is in a democracy is the most important. That is what is helping the West to become open and, tolerant, as we have now. What we've done is that we've championed a lot of democratic renewal initiatives in Nigeria, like Keepers of Democracy Initiative. And there's something we're working on with the NYC, which is called the Peace Building CDS. The Peace Building CDS is a strategy where we're working with the NYC to raise peace ambassadors across local communities. What we're doing is that the conversation around peace building cannot be something we do, just when you have NSAS Memorial or when you have an election coming up, but we want to make the conversation of peace building an everyday conversation, something that young people are taking on and working with communities to, to improve. So we're working with banks, we're working with, private institutions, government institutions to say, you know what, we need to see companies that are investing in peace building and recognize them at the end of the day. So those are some of the things we're working on. And just to, round this off on my part is the police must understand that the most important factor in every democracy are citizens. And if citizens don't have the right to protest, that is not a democracy. You have an autocracy. That's not what we have in Nigeria. Is that we would go back to the dictates of how the Greeks, how the Romans, how the Athenians, yes, the Spartans, how they conceived the idea of democracy, the rule of the individual who is making up a society that gave up their right to be governed. And the government cannot be bigger than the people. That is when we will respect individual freedoms and the police can become part of the process. Because what are we protesting for? At the end of the day, we said police reforms, better salaries for police officers respecting the rights of citizens. You cannot just kill a young man because they're carrying dreads or because they have laptops. And if we now say, let us even mark the occasion of the era, you are seizing them, putting them in the black area and treating them as though they are thieves. That in itself is wrong. And I think the next one, I'm saying to the IG of police, next year, let's work together. Let's have town halls. Let's work together and go to that memorial place at the same time. Work together and we can have a peaceful country. And then you can build this trust between the police and the Nigerians that you are desperately seeking. And we won't have all of this freedom come by struggle, but freedom will come by cooperation, understanding, and working together.
All right. Well, thank you so much. God bless for speaking to us this evening.
Thank you so much for having me.
And let's move to political updates, where the National Vice Chairman of the Labour Party Southeast, CK Gara, says he and some executive of the party have been subjected to untold humiliation and intimidation by the factional acting chairman of the party and Abia state government. Now, he said they will no longer take lightly all the threats and discomforts they have suffered in the recent times, as Emmanuel Oti and the state government will be held responsible. News Central's Chinwe Ogele has more.
Saturday at Abada was disrupted by some detectives. Some members of the Labour Party leadership in the zone are meeting in the same space on Sunday to evaluate the events of the previous day. After spending nearly 12 hours in the custody of the police in Umuahia, the National Vice Chairman of the Labour Party in the Southeast, CK Igara, reveals there was no prior invitation by the police before his arrest.
Yesterday I was asking them, all these Gestapo, why not just invite me? I will come. If you invite me, I will come. But you have not invited me. And then what, you resort to come here to come and whisk me away as if you have seen a common criminal.
On the allegations by the factional acting chairman of the Labour Party in Abia State that Igara is impersonating and extorting members, he has this to say.
Based on the incompetent attitude of Imot, the party dissolved Abia State and empaneled a new committee, a caretaker committee, for 3 months in line with the constitution of the party. And that brought Prince Dr. Gio Ndubeze as the acting state chairman.
As for Prince Ndubeze, the factional state chairman of Labour Party, there must be a thorough investigation into the arrest.
We are also happy that the police did the needful by releasing our national vice chairman within the time frame, although we will like the matter to be thoroughly investigated to know the reason for that. We are not going to just because he has been released and we allow the matter to die the way it came. No, it's impossible. So his accusation, we want it to be properly investigated, and somebody must be responsible because this is not the first time.
In solidarity The Imo State chairman of Labour Party, who was in the meeting, Callistus Ihejiawa, condemns the arrest of the party's zonal chairman, saying the party ought to eschew internal wrangling.
It's regrettable that the police could be used to intimidate and harass our party officers, especially in a state that is governed by a governor from Abia's Labour Party extraction. As a father, we are appealing to him to see the need to embrace the olive branch that our national chairman extended to everyone.
To what extent can the recent developments within the Labour Party that have pitched one-time party faithful against one another affect their chances at the forthcoming elections in Abia State? Only time will tell. In Omaha for News Central, Chinwe Ugeli.
Despite the Supreme Court's ruling granting autonomy to local government councils in Nigeria, the debate over the status of local government councils in relation to the conduct of elections into their leadership continues to be a source of controversy. Some residents of Abuja, while speaking to News Central TV, have called on the Independent National Electoral Commission to take over the conduct of local government polls so that they can practice full autonomy. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
Weeks witnessed the conduct of local government elections by the Rivers, Akwa Ibom and Plateau State's independent electoral commissions. The elections have elicited mixed reactions even as Kaduna and Kogi State conducted theirs this week. While Nigerians continue to ask questions over the enforcement of the local government autonomy, some FCT residents say events that have played out in the processes still prove undue interference by the state governors as they attempt to determine their leadership.
We've seen it from the past to the present that a political party that has produced a governor, once they conduct a local government election, when the state independent elections, whatever, bodies conduct election, it takes it all. It takes it all. You understand? In fact, they handpick. No other party will ever have a seat there. So when you look at that trend, it will tell you that then it was not a transparent process.
I think INEC, yes. INEC in the sense that I don't believe that the state will actually speak in the sense that they'll always find a way. They'll always speak for the governor, not for the people.
Okay, now let me now tell you. It will give that local government independence on how to run the public service work because they are elected candidates. Not just being elected, they will not have that say, not to take instruction from the governor. Most of them, because of the party affiliation, they depend so much on the governor. They don't take decision on their own. But if you are giving them that autonomy, to now give them that right to work for the people, not just for the governor.
The way and manner in which governors indiscriminately write results in the state's independent electoral commission is not fair enough for democracy in Nigeria.
They gave an instance of Akwa Ibom State where they alleged that the state electoral body openly compromised the process.
Like in Akwa Ibom, you understand? In fact, I read from the papers that even the governor had to placate some PDP stakeholders in Senudium, where the Senate president came from, because they just, the INEC, the state, whatever, resident or whatever, they announced PDP as a winner. But out of negotiation, they say it's APC, and they got angry. Give them monies, give them cars. You understand? It's negotiation. Otherwise, so just to give him that respect that he's a number 3 citizen, they have to give him that local government. You understand? So it's not supposed to be like that.
In Akwa Ibom State, we have where they just recently conducted local government elections in the state. Yes, the PDP wrote results in all the local government, but because they have our chairman there, so he quickly came and told them, no, you have to represent my interests. And that was how they now wrote results in favor of APC in that manner. So what I want to say is that let the Independent National Electoral Commission, mandated with the responsibility of conducting elections in Nigeria,
Section 197 of the 1999 Constitution has empowered governors in the exclusive list to be in charge of those appointing those to manage their state electoral commission to conduct elections in the local government. And that implies that for full autonomy to be fully achieved, that section has to be amended so that the local government will be free from any kind of interference. In Abuja, for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
When we come back after the break, you'll find out how UNICEF highlights efforts to improve children's well-being. We'll bring you details of these and others after the break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Still on politics, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has expressed its readiness for the forthcoming Ondo State governorship election scheduled for November 16. However, there are concerns in some quarters due to the usual issues that mar elections in the country, such as delays in the distribution of electoral materials to polling units, as well as security of those participating in the process. This is as the Ondo State chapter of the People's Democratic Party have petitioned INEC, that's the INEC chairman, Professor Mahamoudi Yakubu, demanding immediate replacement of the state's electoral, that's the resident electoral commissioner, Mrs. Toyin Babalola. The PDP is demanding the replacement of the REC, also asked the INEC boss to deploy a non-partisan official with no previous association with Ondo State. Joining us to discuss this is legal practitioner and public affairs analyst Taiwo Soweto. Taiwo, thank you for joining us on the news.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Taiwo, how would you assess the level of INEC's readiness for the upcoming Ondo State governorship election?
Well, thank you. I think it's only INEC that can accurately tell us how ready and prepared they are. But then again, if you ask INEC will always tell you they are ready. INEC will never tell you it's not ready. I think their default response is always we are ready until the election day comes, and then all manner of glitches begin to pop up. But honestly, I'm pro INEC. I sincerely want INEC to work. I'm looking forward to a day where INEC will conduct a free and glitch-free election in this country. So yes, I sincerely hope ready means ready this time around.
So what steps, in INEC being ready, what steps do you think they can take to address the concerns regarding delays in the distribution of electoral materials and also to ensure a timely and efficient electoral process come November 16?
Okay, thank you. I think the major step they can take is to ensure that electoral materials are deployed in time. For instance, in those states, there are two local governments that are riverine areas, SLD local government and the Ilaje local governments. Incidentally, these are local government where the two foremost candidates, that is the candidates for the APC and the PDP, are from. That's the Southern Central District of the state. These are riverine areas, and so sometimes in past elections, we have seen instances where electoral materials did not get to those areas in time because of logistics issues and because those places are kind of landlocked, and then you have to travel by sea. And so the major advice I think I'll give to INEC, what INEC should do is to ensure that at least 1 week before the election day, materials should be deployed to those areas and ensure that there's provision of adequate security to ensure that those materials do not find themselves in the hands of politicians who may use them.
Okay. Now, given the historical challenges with security during elections, what specific security strategies should be implemented to protect both voters and also election officials and materials?
I think the major strategy should be the deployment of so many security personnel. We can use the civil defense corps, we can use the police, and thankfully.
But won't that intimidate voters? Too many security officials being around?
No, and that's why I said that they should use more of civil defense or security personnel, because these guys are meant for the civilians. But then again, the good thing is that this time around, this is an off-cycle election, and so the security requirement, the security personnel requirements is less compared to to general elections where there's always a lot of demand on security personnel across the country. But then I think majorly there should be more deployment of security personnel because and then the citizens themselves, the electorate should be should be aware. I mean, should ensure that they stand and defend their votes. I mean, security is not just the work of uniform officers. It's a collective work, and so every citizen should ensure that they prioritize their security. So yes, deployment of more security personnel will do the job, and then the electorate themselves should be vigilant and ensure that their votes are protected.
Okay, Taiwo, now we're seeing a repeat of, what had happened in Edo State, happening in Ondo State when it comes to the issue of replacing the resident electoral commissioner. Now, how do you think that the demand from the Edo State chapter of the PDP for the replacement of, the REC, how do you think it will impact the public's perception of INEC's neutrality and the overall electoral process?
Yes, the thing is, I would not know I've read the allegations the PDP in those states have raised and levied against the resident electoral commissioner, Mrs. Luatoyin Babalola. But if these allegations are to go by, if these allegations are true, then INEC needs to take those allegations seriously, because alleging that the REC has some kind of relationship with the APC candidate, that is the incumbent governor. Those are very, very serious and grave allegations. And so I think if INEC wants the electorates to perceive it as the unbiased umpire that it should be, and to perceive it as the neutral umpire that it should be, then I think something serious has to be done. And that is if those allegations are true. Like I said, these are still allegations, but these allegations can go a long way in affecting or in causing what we call voter apathy. A lot of people say, it's usual that we can already tell that a social person will win and that their votes don't count, and that might impact on the turnout on election day. But then again, Professor Mahmood should look critically into these allegations and then act timelessly.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Taiwo, for joining us and speaking on this.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Now, moving away from that, Nigeria's Minister of Defense, Mohammed Abubakar, has emphasized the need for peaceful coexistence among people of diverse ethno-religious and social-cultural divides if peace must reign. The minister was speaking in Jos, Plateau State capital, north-central Nigeria, when he attended a stakeholders' engagement on the recurring pockets of insecurity in some parts of the state that left many lives lost and properties destroyed. Correspondent Chizoba Anyongwe was there for News Central and now tells us more.
The minister was received at the 3 Division Maxwell Kobe Cantonment by the General Officer Commanding Major General Abdusalam Abubakar, where he inspected the quarter guard. Next port of call was the 3 Division Sports Complex, where he addressed troops of Operation Safe Haven 3 Division and those from the 551 Battalion, Nigerian Air Force.
My mission is simple: to thank you for the effort you are putting in returning normalcy to Plateau State. We have seen the tremendous progress in the fight against insecurity. The President asked me to come and thank you for the effort and to tell you to do more.
The minister made some remarks before he went into a closed-door session with stakeholders from Barikin Ladi, Bokos, Mangu, Riom, and Wase local government areas of Plateau State, worst hit areas of violent attacks in recent times.
We spoke frankly
and I represent the federal government. There are recommendations that are being sent to the state, recommendations that the federal government will look into. And rubbing mind with the representative of the governor, I believe those recommendations will be discussed and will be taken care of. And I believe peace and normality will return to Plateau.
Issue of understanding, one, between all the parties involved, and then secondly, trying to get people to give or accept some concessions in order for us to have, genuine peace within the state. By the time we put in place one or two other measures in place in order to enhance this issue of understanding and for people to accept to give concessions, we will have a better peace within the state.
Host of the event and GOC 3 Armored Division, who also doubles as Commander Operation Safe Haven, said events such as this remain one of the non-kinetic measures to end criminality within the Operation Safe Haven's joint operations areas.
Stakeholders' engagement such as this is one of the non-kinetic tools which we have employed to address security issues on the plateau. And I am pleased to inform you that our initiative is largely working. I want to assure you that we are not resting on our oars in our efforts to attain our mandate of ensuring a safe, secure, and prosperous Plateau state.
These critical stakeholders were not left out in their thoughts on the event.
It is something that we cherish, and we believe that it will help us to live together in peace by the grace of God. And so we pray that what we have discussed will be implemented to the fullest.
The GOC, honestly, and the SF commander, they've been putting in their best. All they need is small cooperation with the traditional rulers. They need the cooperation of traditional rulers.
This meeting is a very good one because if all of us here will hear what the elders said, we will stay in peace.
Now, if events such as this and assurances given here are anything to take home, then sooner than later, pockets of insecurities here on the plateau and in some other parts of the country will be a thing of the past. From the 3 division headquarters in Jos for News Central, Chizoba and Nwelih.
The Lagos State government has partnered with private organizations to host the 18th annual Walk for Nature in Lagos State. Now, this walk is held each year to promote nature conservation and improve environmental stewardship across the region. Representatives from various sectors in a few kilometers walk highlighted the importance of preserving green spaces. News Central's Igbalani Omoni reports.
The need for environmental conservation in Nigeria, especially in Lagos, is becoming increasingly urgent due to the rising population growth, pollution and waste generation. Lagos, with a population of over 21 million people, is one of the fastest growing cities in Africa. The state generates over 13,000 metric tons of solid waste daily, which ends up in drainage channels, lagoons and waterways, polluting the environment. Over 70% of the population lacks access to central sewage systems, resulting in wastewater discharge into the environment. Air pollution from vehicular emissions and industrial activities is also a major issue. The ecological situation is deteriorating rapidly due to deforestation, coastal erosion, and threats to biodiversity. There needs to be a balance between human development and environmental protection to ensure sustainable growth. Recognizing the importance of environmental conservation, the Lagos State government and its partner, the Nigerian Conservation Foundation, holds the 18th Walk for Nature.
Today's work is to create awareness. It's one of our flagship awareness programs that we normally do every year to create awareness about pressing environmental issues so that everybody will be aware of it.
Activities that led to all of those things are what we're trying to cut back on. Let us save nature, let us protect nature, let us protect biodiversity, let us see that we conserve nature. Look at, for instance, the mangrove, that we have in Lagos State. They've all been taken off by developmental projects. These are all part of nature. They all help us to create balance, ecological balance in nature.
We must all be aware as adults before we're able to translate this. And again, having this work for nature is one of the steps, that we can take as a government, as a community, to ensure that we educate ourselves first.
Experts say the continuous partnership between the government and the private sector will help drive environmental education, advocacy, biodiversity conservation, and ecosystem restoration initiatives in the state.
The message is beginning to sink in, particularly in Lagos. We need to protect the environment because the environment is our life support system. And if you don't protect your life support system, you're going to have a lot of problems.
With concerted action and commitment from all stakeholders, experts say it is imperative to fund conservation efforts, implement waste management solutions, promote sustainable consumption and production, and educate citizens on the need for a greener Lagos. In Lagos 4 News Central, I am Igbalani Omani.
Delta State Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has extended an invitation to investors to capitalize on the state's favorable business environment, emphasizing its potential for growth and success. Governor Oborevwori made the call during the Urhobo Progress Union Youth Wing Worldwide Youth Conference Day hosted at the ultra-modern Urhobo Cultural Center, Uviamuge, Agbaro. News Central's correspondent, Austin Azu, has more.
The Urhobo Youth Wing, in conjunction with stakeholders from the 24 Urhobo kingdoms, converged on the ultra-modern Urhobo Cultural Center, Uriamuge, Agbaro, Delta State, with a focus on unity as a prerequisite for harnessing Urhobo potential for economic development. Governor Sheriff Oborevwori, represented by Professor Nyarubu Tanukari, Commissioner for Higher Education, urged youth to prioritize education and concurrently develop pathways to economic empowerment, thereby driving Nigeria's socio-economic advancement.
Governor is trying to inform the youths that whatever they require to have that skill is making it available in terms of education, tertiary education within the state. But at that same time, he's telling them, now, I'm giving you this skill, giving you this education. Take this education, take this skill, go and establish companies, go and do something that will make Nigeria, greater than what it is before. Because people that are will really do much again. It's the youth, the younger ones coming up that is going to take Nigeria to the greater heights. That is the essential message of the governor.
Notable keynote speakers emphasized the importance of unity and advancement of the Urhobo nation, while also advocating increased federal and state investments in the region.
Urhobo youth should get educated. Why get education, formal education? They can also get skill, vocation, so to equip themselves. So if they do not get the salaried job, no problem. Then you make yourself self-reliant, like our forefathers used to do. And if you feel you have, if that one is not enough for you, find a way legitimately, explore outside the world. So Urhobo youths, they need mentorship and allowed to be mentored.
We have a very flourishing land in the Urhobo kingdom. So we'll say the youth should get involved with agriculture, not just as a profit-making business, but as something that is going to make them the future, the leaders of the future tomorrow.
I urge the youth to organize themselves, to create awareness, and to support political parties and candidates who will make the creation of Urhobo State a priority, part of their manifesto.
Blessed Ugere, President of the UPO Youth Wing and Planning Committee Chairman Evi Sakbobi, underscored the program's aims and unveiled the 25-year development strategy master plan for the Urhobo Youth Nation.
Unity is paramount for us to grow. It has come to the position that we have to think for our future. The major fact or the major gain of today's event is the unveiling of the 25 years master plan for Urhobo Nation, which is the Agenda 2050.
I'm proud to be an Urhobo. Urhobo is the 5th largest ethnic group in Nigeria as for today, and we are blessed with young people that have character, skills, competence, and they have foresight. So we needed a monetary point where we, the young people who are the future of Urhobo, sit down, discuss our challenges, and chart a way forward.
The Urhobo youth are renowned for their collective voice and resolute commitment. And hopefully, the 25-year master plan will bring the desired results and advancements. In Ugele for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
A beautiful display of culture there. Thank you, Austin Azu, for that report. Now, coming up after the break, occupants of Kenyan 7-story house trapped in building collapse as rescue mission continues. We'll bring you details in a moment. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, residents of Kahawa West in Nairobi were left in disarray after a 7-story building collapsed on Sunday morning. The building, which housed businesses and residential units, collapsed, trapping several occupants. The Kenya Red Cross said in a statement that several people were trapped inside the rubble, but rescue workers were already deployed to the site. Preliminary reports indicate that residents were informed about a possible collapse in advance by the county planning department. The building, which was marked for demolition, did not affect other adjacent structures. In other news from around the world, Italy's northeastern Emilia-Romagna was again partially underwater on Sunday after heavy overnight rain and flooding that killed one person in a flat land battered by extreme weather as recently as last month. Firefighters said they had found the body of a missing person in Bottegino di Zocca, immediately south of Bologna. Now, the victim has been identified as a 20-year-old man whose car was swept away by the rush of water. Bologna and 4 provinces in the northeastern plains were placed under a red alert until midnight Sunday, although rains had tapered off. According to the City Hall, schools in Bologna would be closed on Monday. Let's join the business desk for more on business.
The National Association of Telecommunications Subscribers, NATCOMS, has called on the Nigerian Communications Commission to approve a marginal 10% tariff increase for telecom companies to alleviate the rising operational costs in the sector. Adeodu Ogunbanjo, National President of NATCOMS, in a statement to journalists said that the tariff hike is necessary for telecom companies to sustain their operations and improve service quality. He emphasized that the current economic conditions are severely impacting telecom operators, making it crucial for stakeholders to find a balanced solution. Ogunbanjo pointed out that telecom companies have been operating under increasing financial strain due to the rising costs of essentials which are needed to power their networks. The Poultry Association of Nigeria, Lagos State, and other stakeholders in the sector have lamented the incessant hike in the price of eggs while calling for the federal government's intervention. They also expressed concern that eggs, which used to be the cheapest source of protein, were becoming unaffordable for Nigerians. They made these comments while speaking to journalists in Lagos. The chairman of the Poultry Association of Nigeria, Mojid Iyola, blamed the price hike on the high cost of raw materials for bird feed. The prices of feeds are not decreasing, according to him, with the surge in poultry feed prices, transportation costs due to rising fuel prices, and high maintenance costs for birds also being a problem. Despite all the government's support and the open window for the importation of maize, he said it is not enough, demanding government's intervention and assistance to deal with the lack of proper egg production, infrastructure, human factors, economic constraints, and environmental factors. A high-profile delegation from 20 leading French companies led by France's ambassador to Zimbabwe, Paul Bertrand Barrett, met President Emerson Mnangagwa at the State House in Harare, reaffirming France's commitment to strengthening economic relations with Zimbabwe. The visit, part of a 2-day business exploration, focused on identifying investment opportunities across the sectors. The French delegation, accompanied by Zimbabwe's ambassador to France, Dr. Sekai Nzenza, and led by Alstom
Alstom's Senior Vice President of Public Affairs, Philippe Delure, expressed keen interest in sectors such as mining, agriculture, construction and infrastructure. Alstom, a major player in global rail transport, indicated plans to invest in the development of a light rail system for Harare. Speaking after the meeting, Ambassador Barrett emphasized the enduring relationship between the two nations and expressed optimism about the prospects for further economic collaboration. And that's all on business news. I am Lekki Onobanjo.
Now let's join Sports Desk for the sports news.
Super Falcons head coach Justin Madugu has invited captain Rasheedat Ajibade, goalkeeper Chiamaka Nnadozie, and 23 other players for the 2 international friendly games planned for 9-time African champions Super Falcons against their Algerian counterparts in Lagos at the end of this month. The matches are billed for the Mobolaji Johnson Arena in Lagos on Saturday, the 26th of October, and Tuesday, the 29th of October, respectively. This is the first time that the Super Falcons are playing international friendly matches on home soil since the Aisha Buhari Invitational Tournament, which was held at the same venue 3 years ago. It will also be the first regrouping of the Super Falcons players since the Women's Olympic Football Tournament in France in the summer and following the departure of American trainer Randy Waldrum. The Algerian delegation is expected in Nigeria on Wednesday. In the English Premier League, Liverpool passed the major test of their title credentials to move back to the top of the table by beating Chelsea 2-1 at Anfield on Sunday. Mohamed Salah's penalty and Curtis Jones's winner made it 10 wins in 11 games for the Reds since Arne Slot took charge. Nicholas Jackson leveled for Chelsea in the second half, but they slipped to a first league defeat since losing to Manchester City on the opening weekend of the season. The victory takes Liverpool 1 point ahead of City and 4 points clear of Arsenal, who they face at the Emirates next weekend. Chelsea are now 7 points off the top, down in 6th. Liverpool's only defeat under Slot came when Nottingham Forest defeated Liverpool following September's international break. Paris Olympic Games 10,000-meter champion Joshua Cheptegei of Uganda on Sunday won the New Delhi half marathon in India. The 10,000-meter world record holder secured the victory in 59 minutes and 46 seconds ahead of Kenya's Alex Matata, who finished second in a time of 59 minutes and 50 seconds. Matata's compatriot Nicholas Kipkorir rounded off the podium, crossing the finish line in a time of 59 minutes and 57 seconds. Cheptegei attributed the victory to the courage and self-motivation in learning from challenges. The New Zealand women cricket team etched their names into the history books on Sunday as they became the first ever team from New Zealand across all age and gender groups to clinch a World Cup title at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium in UAE's Dubai. New Zealand defeated South Africa by 32 runs to win. Chasing 159 runs, South Africa kept losing wickets at regular intervals, managing 126 to 9 runs in 20 overs. This was the Kiwis' third ever final of the showpiece event, and after 2 successive attempts, they finally win a title. While for South Africa, this was their second successive final in the T20 World Cup. And that's a wrap on Sport Update. I am Udoka Njoko.
And that's all at this hour. But before we go, here's another look at some of our top stories. We told you that arrested NSAS Memorial protesters freed after alleged police brutality. We also told you that federal government set to transfer national grid management to an independent system operator. Finally, you heard that occupants of Kenyan 7-story building trapped in building collapse as rescue mission continues. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Dashen Usman.